in the NFL. But I texted you this last night, and I would like to discuss it with you on air because the deadline is passed for players from the 2022 NFL draft, NBA draft class to sign their rookie extensions, which means there are a handful of players who will hit restricted free agency next year and be in the same situation that Quentin Grimes and Jonathan Kuminga and Josh Giddey and Cam Thomas were in this season. One of those players, I believe we've talked about this before because it was reported a while ago he wouldn't get an extension, is Jazz center Walker Kessler. The other one that certainly perked up the ears of many Kings fans yesterday was the Rockets not coming to an agreement with Tari Eason. I think if you're putting those players in some kind of order of who the Kings should pursue, I think most people probably put Tari Eason 1.
Yeah.
My question is, why not both?
Why not both?
I mean, you got to. We'll just start here as we kind of talk about this hypothetical. You have to make the calls if you're Scott Perry. You have to call now.
Yeah,
and see.
I get that.
Hey, what do you want for Walker Kessler now? Try and get some, through other channels. Try and get some idea of what extension talks look like. I think you got to do the same thing with Tari Eason. I don't think the Rockets would be keen on trading him now.
No,
but expressing interest, getting that out there in case the Rockets say, yeah, you know what, we're just kind of sick of this guy. We'll take a protected first and Devin Carter for him. I don't think they would.
I don't think they would either.
But you got to make the calls. You're never going to find out if you don't make the call.
Well, yeah, but you also have to look at their roster and say, okay, like at what point are they going to not have minutes for players like this? Right? Because you spent big money. Jabari Smith Jr. got the $122 million extension. You brought in Dorian Finney-Smith. On top of that, you also, not only did you land Kevin Durant, but then you signed him to a 2-year extension. So, like, what exactly are you doing with your forward rotation? You talked about Opera and Şengün maybe sliding over and playing some 4. So that's part of, their calculus for this season.
Yeah.
They just have a ton of depth on the front line. And I really, really love what Tari Eason brings to the table. And the question is, like, how much does he cost? Like, I got to be honest. I like Tari Eason a lot more than I like Jonathan Kuminga. Like, I know the ceiling of Kuminga as a potential scorer is really high. But like Tari Eason does everything. Tari Eason is a dog and he's a winner.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I would be circling and saying, like, yeah, how do I land a player like that? And I don't know the answer to it because it's just, again, until they have injury issues or whatever, I don't think they're going to be shopping. But mid-season, if they have a hole in their rotation and you're looking at that as a potential trade partner. Like, I could see the Kings chasing him. I mean, he makes $5.6 million, but it's going to be about, like, what can you offer them to go get him? And, again, he was looking, I think they're saying around $20 million a year extension, and the Rockets kind of balked at it.
Man.
Yeah, it's tough, man. He does everything.
If he wants 4 and 80, I'm giving it to him. I'd feel so good about taking that bet.
Oh yeah, me too.
If we talked about this a lot with point guards last year, a guy like Andrew Nembhard. Just to again, I don't think the Rockets are trading Tari Eason this year.
No,
I think if the Rockets trade Tari Eason, it will be next offseason in a sign and trade scenario. But it's the same idea that a player like Andrew Nembhard, like, yeah, the Pacers aren't probably gonna trade him, but the idea is he puts up backup type numbers right now. What could he do if he was given the reins to a team?
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Tari Eason. If you said, hey, we're going to plug Tari Eason in and he's going to be the starting 4. He's just going to be your starting power forward.
Yeah.
Or your starting small forward or whatever you want to do.
No, I would move Keegan Murray right over to the 4. No, he makes perfect sense.
Yeah. He averaged last year in 25 minutes a game. He averaged 12 points, 6 boards, and an assist and a half, with a steal and a half, and nearly a block. That's a player. That's the player that I would be willing, if I'm the Kings next offseason, to try and lure away from Houston with something that I might even consider an overpay right now.
Yeah, the problem
because
is
I think there's more ceiling there for Tari Eason.
Yeah, the Kings just don't have a way to lure a team. Like it has to be a trade if you're going to land somebody.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem that the Kings have. Like so, unless you're able to, like you're not going to have any salary cap space for the next 2 or 3 years.
Okay, would let's say at this trade deadline, if you've got and again, if you have a crystal ball,
yeah,
and okay, hey, if we have cap space, we can just sign Tari Eason outright. The Rockets aren't going to match a 4 and 85.
Yeah,
just to throw a number out. Rockets aren't going to match that. You have a crystal ball. You know that he'll sign. Would you be willing to attach a first-round pick to one of your larger contracts at the trade deadline to clear that space for the summer? Assuming the Kings don't have some season where they're in the playoff hunt or something.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that it's so much money that they're going to have to clear in order to have any cap space. So, again, if you're up against a luxury tax, so let's say you're at like 180 million, the salary cap is only at like 165, right? Actually, I think it's 155. So in order to get below the 155, you don't just have to trade the 25 million. You have to trade 25 million to get to ground zero and then back it up. Now let me throw in the Keegan Murray contract extension. Now Keegan Murray's making 25 million as opposed to the 12 million he's making this year. So there goes 13 million. So now you got to backtrack even further. So like in order to clear up the space that they would need, you're going to have to just wipe out like a ton of cap room. Now it's possible that they look at you and say, hey, yeah, we wouldn't mind saving a little bit of money. We take Tari Eason for Keon Ellis and we'll figure out the Keon Ellis situation. You figure out the Tari Eason situation. That might be one of those like swapping out players that at different positions, which might make sense for them and it might make sense for the Kings as well. Sure, you're losing a guy that you think is going to be a centerpiece for your team or a potential centerpiece for your team.
But the need to have Keon Ellis changes if you're bringing in a player like Tari Eason.
Well, that and Nate Clifford might change that identity as well
100%.
for your team moving forward. If all of a sudden your young core moving forward is a guy like Tari Eason, a guy like Keegan Murray, and a guy like Nate Clifford at the 2, 3, 4, now you might have something, right? So I think it's interesting. I do think that there are probably other ways in which you could, make moves that would help improve this team. Houston is a team that's going to be looking probably for point guard help at some point during the season. They just, I don't think that there's a way to match up with Houston where you could get, I mean, it's possible you might be able to get Dorian Finney-Smith out of there at some point in a swap for Malik Monk or something, but I just don't know that that's moving any needle.
Dorian Finney-Smith, 33?
Something like that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Pass. What about Walker Kessler? I'm so interested to see what his contract looks like.
Yeah, me too.
Like what and why the Jazz have decided he's not a player worth signing now. And maybe it's just kind of what Kenny talked about last week, if you listen to D-Lo and KC, where, no, I'll just kick that can down the road. I don't have to pay him right now.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, he's a great shot blocker. He's a really, really good offensive rebounder, led the league in offensive rebounding last year. He's a double-double machine. But I think what we've seen from players like him is that you get to the playoffs and there's no way to keep him on the court. I mean, we see it with Rudy Gobert. And like he realistically is another version of Rudy Gobert. And to be honest, I don't think he's as good as Rudy Gobert. He doesn't move in space well enough to defend quicker fives. But also in the modern NBA, 4 5s, 3 4 5s, you got to be able to move. You got to be able to switch. And you can't just say the whole time, well, I don't really have the foot speed.
Sure.
Yeah. Then you go sit on the sidelines. So
right.
And with a team like them, like Utah, they have so many tall guys. They do. They've got
a lot of length.
Yeah, like Laurie Markkanen, but they also have other guys that are up and coming that they might be looking to move him out just because of the limitations that he brings. I think they were hoping to prove him up as like another Rudy Gobert and then trade him like they did. And I don't think it's worked out like they thought.
No, not quite. I think he might be better offensively than Rudy Gobert. Just have more of a higher upside there, but defensively, like you said, he's just not quite the player. All right, well, scrap that idea. The Kings should get neither of them then, I guess.
Hey, I'm all in on Tari Eason. Figure it out.
I'll just go to heck. That's James Ham. I hate when the idea gets torpedoed by the salary cap rules. That's a real bummer.
That's the biggest
That's
problem.
a real bummer.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's James.